Thank you and welcome to the show for today. You are watching Perspectives and I'm your host, Alana McLaughlin. This morning, the show is titled Local R&B Sensations, and I have Yassie Thomas, known as Yassie, here to discuss her background, her education, the work that she does in the community, and the impact that she seeks to leave here in Tennessee. Yassie, thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you.
It is an honor to have you.
I'm so excited.
And I want to talk about, in this first segment, I want to get started with those baby Yassie years. So tell me where you're from, kind of what childhood looked like. Set up that early childhood for me.
So I was born here in Nashville, but I was raised in Atlanta. So I kind of say I'm from both. I started like a lot of other singers in the choir with my mom and got like some of that basic like training, if you will, for singing. And that was like my stage fright time where I could get all of that out. And yeah, just that's kind of like my early child in the church, you know.
And I want to talk about that, especially I love when people tell me they have that church background. Tell me about it. I want to know what parts you sang. I want to know some favorites. Tell me about that early church experience.
Yeah, so my mom, the religion she was is called Baha'i. So a lot of people don't know about it, but it's basically like they took the truths from each religion, I feel like, and kind of put it all into one. And it's really about unity. They talk about unity all the time. So like the songs that we would sing were heavily like bringing people together, coming together. One of my favorite songs was Thy Name is Thy Healing. And that's the one I used to sing because I was like, you know, young, and I just felt like, man, like when I would sing that song, people would cry and they would just get a sense of like healing. So I don't know, I gravitated to songs that meant something to people early on. And my mom was like, do the solo. And like she would always, we would practice together. And she just really like saw that I was gonna be something great. So she like instilled that into me young.
And I want take me through high school, Yassie. I want you to tell me, as you're growing up seriously with this voice and knowing that this is something that you like, kind of tell me what high school into that later adolescence looked like.
Yeah, so when my mom passed away in 2009, I moved back here to Tennessee, and I went to Nashville Big Picture, where I graduated, and my teacher, Mr. Gary, if you're watching, I'm shouting you out, but he was like, oh no, we got to do something with that voice, like, you know, and so he created like a band in school, and he could play instruments, so we had like a whole, we would perform like places here, and it was me and another girl, we used to sing, and I would do covers all the time of like Whitney Houston and Anita, and just getting really that performance, you know, experience in a big city like Nashville. So that's what I did in high school. Like that's where I started performing.
And I love that you just said Big Picture, because so many people, like people from town, don't know
what it is.
Tell me about Big Picture and really about your experience.
I loved Big Picture. They really, to me, they're underrated because they focus a lot on what are you doing after high school? Not just like, okay, let's just get through today. It's like about, you know, what you want to do with your life. They really care about what you want to do. And some people don't know, but like you know, you can go to college if you want to while you're in Big Picture. You can do music. Like it's just, I just loved that environment, and we got to do internships. So we only had, we had 2 days that we didn't go to school, Tuesday and Thursday. And some people would take advantage of that, obviously, but like us at Big Picture, we did not. We really went to our internships. We really honed in on like what we wanted to do, like setting ourselves up for success.
I love that song. That is like the perfect advert for Big Picture. They need to like put that on the website. To end off our first segment, tell me about just that early singing career. I want you to tell me if you can think of your first big performance, your first single. Tell me about that breakthrough.
Well, my first like actual performance I was dating someone at the time that was also a music artist, and he was like, you need to get in a studio. And I had never been to a studio. I've been singing all this time, but I never went to the studio. I went to the studio, and that first song, it was called Tonight, and I wrote it, and it was just so much fun. I was like, oh, I can like actually do this. Like this is, you know, and so from there I had my son, and so I took a little break. And so when I came back on the scene, my first single was Ready, and my cousin, he was like, you need to get back in the studio. And we went and we recorded it, and I cried, and it was just because I had missed it so much. And yeah, I was like, I'm never stopping this again. You know?
And in our second segment, we're going to pick back up on just juggling motherhood and artistry. We're going to talk about some of the other pivotal experiences you went through as a young lady that have shaped that artistry.
Yeah.
And we're just going to talk about what makes Yassie amazing. And in our second segment, I encourage viewers to tune back in to hear Yassie's story, to hear her background, her education, the impact that she seeks to leave on Tennessee through her music, and all the ways that we can support her. To the second segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin, and you are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Yassie Thompson, known as Yassie, here discussing her background, her education, and the impact that she seeks to leave on Tennessee communities through her work. In our first segment, we talked about Yassie's early background. We talked about her transition from Atlanta, Georgia to here in Nashville. We talked about graduating from Nashville Big Picture High School. And we're going to pick right back up on just those early adolescent years for Yassie. We're going to talk about some of the things that she experienced and ultimately the impact that she seeks to leave through her artistry. So Yassie, we're picking right back up where we left in that second segment. You were telling me about your first two singles, about getting in a studio, about how awesome all of that was.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you kind of about your personal life throughout all that.
Yeah.
I want to hear just some of those shaping experiences that you endured, that you went through as that young lady, and I want to talk about overcoming them and using kind of that healing and channeling it into your artistry.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I started writing poetry first. Like before I even, like outside of the choir, that's what I was doing. And I was doing that as a like outlet because I did have a little bit of a rough time. I saw my mom going through domestic violence, very young age. I was also sexually abused. So things that I felt like I had to get this out some kind of way. So I just gravitated to poetry, which actually ended up turning into songwriting. Because I was like, oh, it's pretty similar. And it's just a way to express yourself. But I don't look at myself as like a victim. You know, most people would say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm honestly not, because I feel like it just made me even stronger. There's really nothing I can't do, and that's how I look at it. I didn't let it define me. It doesn't define me. It's a piece to what I do, why I do it. And I feel like if anything, it's showing women that even if that does happen to you, that doesn't have to be your story, you know. So.
And so many people kind of fall into that, taking it and just making it their whole identity. Like somebody hurt me, I'm a hurt person. I do this because I'm hurt, and it's hard for people to get out of that pain.
Yeah.
And so I think it's amazing that you're able to sit here and you're able to say that I am not a victim. This did not define me. This is just a part of my story.
You're giving them power if you do that.
You're
like
right.
Whoever your abusers are, you're giving them the power, and it's about taking your power back. So that's how I live through my life.
I
you know?
love it.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about, with that same strength, you being a mother.
Yeah.
I know that your baby's 12 now, right?
No, he's 6.
Oh, my goodness,
God,
girl.
you gotta grow him up.
I saw the number 6 in my head, and I just said 12. I'm thinking, I'm like, he's not 6. That's hilarious. But seriously, I want to talk about that parenthood and specifically being the mom of a special needs student.
Yes.
And just really,
like diving into that. Like he's autistic, and so when I was, you know, when he was 3, we noticed like, okay, there might be some things, because he was just super smart, but there was just a little quirks that he had, like, you know, lining up all his toys in order, and, you know, saying his numbers, and having to have everything, like, you know, in order. And just, it was just some little small things that I noticed, and I was like, okay, I guess it's time. And, you know, we as parents, I think we all go through that, like, I won't say denial, but just maybe afraid of the unknown. I've never really had any interaction with autism until my son was autistic. And my biggest thing was like, I cried and cried and cried. And I was just like, oh, I don't want anybody to treat him differently. I just want him to be like a normal kid. And I was like, what is normal though? You know what I mean? And then I started thinking, okay, well, I have to first accept it so that I can know how to navigate and advocate for him and other people to accept him. And he's the sweetest thing ever. He's so smart, and I mean, he's taught me so much just in his 6 years of life. So I never looked at it as a bad thing. I'm like, oh, I'm your mom for a reason, because I do not play about my baby. So.
And we talked about this off camera, but seriously,
Yeah.
that advocacy is so needed.
Yeah.
Because so many of our children do not have people who are there saying like, hey, my kid is here, my kid can do this, my kid should do this. And we see so many children, especially like our young black children, who fall kind of to the wayside because they're overlooked.
Yeah.
And so that advocacy.
And just with him having like a speech delay, they think he can't talk. I'm like, it's not that he can't talk. He can, and he understands everything you're saying. And it took me advocating constantly, like, okay, how do you do this? How do you? And then they told me one day, his teachers were like, you are amazing. And then they said, we didn't know he knew all. You have to. It's just, you have to get creative about how you get the information out. It has nothing to do with him not knowing. You know, if anything, you know, they said once he has the speech down and like it's comfortable to speak, he'll probably be tested in advance in school, because he knows more than he should at his age. So he's been an educational baby since like day one. And it was just nice to get that recognition from his teachers. And it's like they hugged me at the end of his graduations, and they hugged me at the end of the school year, and we have a really good relationship. So.
And I want to talk about how you juggle that motherhood with artistry.
Oh my gosh.
I know, we were just talking a second ago. I was like, where's he at right now? When you were telling me he's at school. But honey, how do you do it?
Some days I ask myself the same thing, honestly.
real?
I think it's just you know what, I will say this, motherhood really just like throws you into this whole different mental, at least for me. Like I was just like, if I don't do it for myself, this little boy is looking at me, and I want him to say, my mom did that. Like, she took care of me, she was on the road touring. Like, I just thinking about all the stuff that I have done, and how I go home and I'm a mom and cook dinner every night, and you know,
I know,
like
that's
crazy.
so crazy.
Yeah.
So like,
It's like two different people.
Set up
There's
for me.
Yasmin and Yassie, the artist.
I know. So I want to know, and this will kind of wrap our second segment. Tell me what an average day looks like.
Get up in the morning, pack his bag for school, typical mom stuff, you know, make his lunchbox, get his, you know, clothes ready, brush his teeth, like the same thing. And I go to work, and then after that, it's artist time. Like, it's just crazy how the switch goes on and off, you know?
Oh my goodness. And then I'm about to say, after work, you're back in mom mode.
Yeah.
And when do you sleep?
That's what I say. I'm like, I feel like I get 4 hours sleep some nights. I don't know. I will say this, like, I can sleep later. That's how I look at it.
You're right.
I'm like, life is just so precious, and I'm like trying to live every moment I can, and make an impact on the world with my music and with my story too. So.
And in our final segment, we're going to pick back up on just your current career, all the things you have planned, some of the accomplishments you've had everywhere from Memphis to Nashville.
Yeah.
You know, I done did my research
Yes.
now. But seriously, I just want to highlight you because I think that you're a really interesting person.
Thank
and I love your voice.
you.
And I know that our viewers will agree. And I encourage our viewers to tune into the final segment of Perspectives, where Yasmin and I will return to discuss local R&B superstars, local R&B sensations, her background, her mission, the impact that she seeks to leave, and more. Final segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin, and you are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Yasmin Thompson, known as Yassie, here discussing her background, her education, the impact that she seeks to leave through her artistry on local Tennessee communities, and ways that we can support her. In our first two segments, we talked about Yassie's transition to Nashville. We talked about just some of the schools she attended, some of the experiences she's had, both as a survivor of domestic violence, as a survivor, of sexual assault. We talked motherhood. And in this final segment, we're going to talk current career. We're going to talk about ways that we can support Yasmin. And honey, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start back at. We have covered.
I know, it seems like we covered so much.
I know, but it's awesome because we haven't even scraped the surface of who you
No.
are and what you do.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me now, take today, this
Right.
2024, this present era career. I want you to tell me accomplishments. I want you to tell me just things that you have upcoming. Take me through Yassie.
So I recently got off a tour last year, my very first tour that I put together myself, so I'm super proud of that. I had 17 different shows, 17 different cities. So, I mean, just thinking about that is crazy to me, like how I put all that together.
Oh my God.
But I do have a team, and I want to shout them out, M&S Media. We've been rocking now for 3 years, and I've won an award since then. I've had my song in a few movies. And so this year, I spent a year off working on an album. It's called Reflection, and it's a crossover album. So I'm an R&B artist and Afrobeats, but I'm turning into a pop artist too, and a little bit of country. But this album will be the first time I'm putting out 3 pop records on the album. So I'm really excited to see how people react to me doing a whole new genre. And I'm going to go back on tour. Just elevation is what I'm after this year. It's just, to see where I can go with it from here.
And you have to tell me, how did that tour go? Tell me what that looked like. 17 different cities?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Take me through that experience.
Well, I was like just shocked every time I did a show. I'm trying to think probably one of the bigger festivals I did. It was called the Crybaby Festival. It was in Philadelphia. Never been to Philadelphia before. It was amazing. I mean, there was so many people I couldn't even see in the crowd, and I was just like, this is crazy. And it was just a proud moment for me. Also, another one, I know you mentioned Memphis. I did the national anthem for the Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Hustle, which was huge for me because I never heard myself that loud before, and I never saw myself on that.
And girl, the
big
anthem ain't no
screen.
joke. That is like the determining factor of a singer. Girl.
Because some people say they can sing, but no auto-tune, all Yassie, So that was awesome and very nerve-wracking too, but it was just, to be in that experience in that space, I was just like, man, I'm really a star. That's what I like. That's what I felt. Yeah, so, yeah.
And now take me, what are you working on right now? I know Reflection's coming out, and I'm going to ask more about just some other things outside of Reflection. But in Reflection, these 3 pop singles, tell me about really writing them.
Yeah, I really wanted to focus this album on Happier Me. And it's funny because the people I have let hear them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a whole different you, and you can just tell I'm in my healing era, because my first couple projects, I was going to bad relationships and love problems, and people who interviewed me in the past, they were like, oh, it just seems like you were having to get that out, you needed to get that out. So now I'm like, forget relationships right now, I'm just focused on Yassie and healing and growing, and it shows in the music. The music is all happy, upbeat, and I think people need to get some of that too,
And with this Afrobeats thing, I've been hanging on to that since you said that.
Yeah.
There aren't too many local artists who incorporate Afrobeats.
No.
Or at least not too many that I'm familiar with. Yeah, tell me about that whole genre, about, getting into Afrobeats. Yeah.
Well, think about when you listen to a song that has Afro, it just makes, who cannot dance? I don't care who you are. And so that was why I gravitated to it, because I'm like, I love the way this sounds, and me as an artist, my brain creative, it's gotta be stimulating. And for me, I'm always looking at what I can do new. I'm always challenging myself as an artist, and I feel like as an artist you have to be willing to grow and elevate and be willing to try new things, and new sounds. And that's me. I don't want to be in a box. Don't ever say I'm just one type of artist. I'm like, nope. You can put me anywhere, do anything, and I'm going to write and figure it out, because I'm a really good writer, and that's why I wanted to focus so much on the writing. And this album has a interlude where I talk to my fans, and it gets deep, because I wanted people to be on the journey and see how far I've come, and the music shows it, and just have some fun too.
And yes, through all this, what's the impact? Now, this is a 2-part question.
Yeah.
I want to know the impact that you seek to leave as an artist, and then as a woman. And on that mother end, that counts as as a woman, as a mother, as just a woman in the community.
Yeah.
But on that artist end, that's you speaking to these fans, to these vulnerable hearts that are open to you.
Yeah.
Tell me, start with that artist part. Tell me that impact that you seek to leave.
I mean, I want to just leave, when people listen to my music and even see me performing or whatever, I just want them to remember that you can do it too. Whatever it is that you want to do, it doesn't have to be, music. Whatever you're passionate about, just go after your passions. I always say there's not a plan B for me. I chose that. I could have, went to school. I wanted to be a counselor, but I thought that this would just be more of the impact that I wanted to leave, where I'm able to talk about my experiences through my music. Because music is healing. I don't care who you are. Even if you get up in the morning and cook breakfast 9 times out of 10 there's some music playing.
I know.
You know?
Even
So-
if it's just the eggs on the
Yeah,
skillet. That's music too.
exactly. So it's just, music is everywhere, and that's what I want to be, everywhere, impacting everyone in a different way.
And now speak to me as that woman, just as Yasmeen.
Yeah.
Tell me just the impact that you seek to leave for the young girls watching this, for your son
Yeah.
watching this,
I mean, just
for Mr. Gray watching this.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Just never give up. Don't be afraid to be you. Don't let someone tell you no. And if you get a couple closed doors, so what? You know, keep going. And don't let situations or experiences define who you are, because that's not who you are. You make your story.
I think that's the biggest part. And really, before I let you go, tell me, how did you kind of figure out in your head that you weren't going to let that define you? Because so many people, especially the people who are experiencing it right now, they don't see their way out.
Yeah, and I mean, it feels like that sometimes, and I'm not perfect. I've had my dark days too, but I just feel like for me, I realize how important mental health is, and so through self-love and, you know, just nurturing that mental health, if you have to go, me personally, I have a therapist and I love her. That's my girl, you know.
Yes.
So, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because you don't just go to therapy when something's wrong.
You're
you know,
right.
you kind of go to just vent, and for me, that was really why I was able to let the past be the past and use it more as a kind of pivotal moment for me to just keep killing it, you know, keep doing what I do, and put all of that energy into the music, into my craft, what I chose to do with my life. So,
And I'm so glad you said that, because literally so many entrepreneurs, I feel like everyone needs a therapist. Whatever you do,
Whatever you
teacher,
do, even a
kid,
life coach.
even therapists need therapists.
Yes.
I feel like everyone needs one. So that's why, like, it always kills me when I get entrepreneurs and they're talking to me. They're like, yeah, man, I just write it down in my journal and I just keep going. I'm like, that's cool for you, but I would burn out that way. And so I love when people are honest about that mental health. It's not easy.
No.
Especially people in the public eye, especially knowing that you have to be in the public eye, then go home and feed an
My
entire
child,
human.
yes.
A whole child. Like, not even just a whole child.
like,
But
you can't,
seriously, thank you for just being honest about that.
Yeah, of course.
And Yassie, in this about last 2 minutes, I want you to tell me, how can the community connect with you? How can people stay in touch with you and support you?
Yeah, so on my Instagram, Yassie_official, everywhere, Yassie official, even on TikTok, all those, because I do make content as well. And my music, if you want to download my music, Yassie, Yassie, I'll come right up on whatever platform you listen to music. And I also wanted to give you these. I've been holding these if you guys want to. Yes, because I want to give you your flowers, because I don't feel like people give them to you enough, and I just appreciate you for bringing me here. So
Well,
I
yes.
do want to give you your flowers.
I appreciate that, Yassie. I love you. Wow. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you. And it's so crazy. I was just telling you, I was like, you deserve your flowers. Like, I don't even think about mine, but these are beautiful, and as
You're
beautiful as
welcome.
you are.
Thank
And
you.
seriously, just thank you for sharing your story with me. Thank you for sharing your time
Thank
with
you
me.
for having me.
And really, thank you for what you do for the community, because seriously, it's bigger than you or I. This is really a God thing.
It is.
And I think about, I see like the reception to your music. I see the comments. I see you smiling. That's God. That love, that happiness, that is Christ.
It takes a lot for people to be willing to tap in and like connect with you and want to be, you know, a voice, and like, where can I find you? Where can I, you know, and I love that. Like, I say this all the time. Once I make it to where I want to make it, I will take pictures with people, sign autographs. I will never turn anyone away, because you guys are the reason I
community
do
makes
it.
us.
Yeah.
Yassie, I love you. I love what you're
I
doing.
love you
have my
too.
full support. And to our viewers, I love y'all as well. And I thank y'all for just allowing us this space to share these stories. And thank you for embracing us and for just allowing me to share the stories that shape our beautiful community. Good morning.